Hi there, this is Sheena Rowlands and today I'm sharing with you my latest layout for Hey Little Magpie. And for this layout I'm using the 49 and market paper ARToptions Spice. So I've dug out some bits that are pumpkin related and I'm going to use this paper as the top half and I'm going to cut it, I don't know, maybe a third of the way down. It's called Caramel Toffee and I'm going to use one of the foundation pages at the bottom. So I've just brought in a piece of white cardstock just to make sure I keep this layout 12 by 12 because I'm going to cut the paper that's underneath and I've taken a piece off it. They overhang, but I'm going to actually add the reverse of the foundation paper in between, which is the brighter orange. So I'm just tearing the edges here. I'm just literally chipping away at it. I don't want to take too much off because I want to keep all the pumpkins intact. There are a lot of pumpkins in this collection and I feel like I'm going to try and showcase quite a few of them on this layout. The photograph I'm using is of my nephew. It was taken last year, 2022, surrounded by pumpkins. So the more pumpkins I can get on this layout, the better. So I've taken a pair of scissors and I've fussy cut quite a few of the bits and pieces in this collection that are on the back of some of the sheets, like the title pages. There's quite a lot of cutouts for you to use. So the groups of pumpkins are from cutouts that I've done myself off camera. And the piece at the bottom at the moment is from the Caramel Toffee, but from the 6 by 8 pad. So it's a smaller version. And I've actually trimmed it down a little bit smaller than that. And that's the other piece there that I've just trimmed. And I'm going to stack those up as a pile of pumpkins at the bottom. So I've got a lot of the chipboard pieces there. I'm trying to find a title. It takes me ages to find a title that I want. It's funny, isn't it? Sometimes I kind of wanted both sorts of like what script and then capitals. It's not what I finally choose. So hey, it's just the way it is. So bear with me because I like to make sure I'm not missing anything. So I go through a lot of the bits and pieces that I have in the trays. And that's the thing with this range. There are lots of pieces. You've got all the laser cuts as well. So there's lots of bits you can choose from. You certainly don't need all of it, but there is a lot on offer. And I really would recommend you check all of that out at the Hey Little Magpie store. They've got lots of current ranges, including all of this one as well. So I really would recommend you hop over and have a look. So I'm now going to try and actually stick that down. You've noticed in the orange there, I've die cut some leaves. I'm going to try and use those later on. I didn't want to waste it and just stick it behind there. So just going to stick it all together again now to make it a 12 by 12 sheet. I've weighed the bottom half down there with my scissors to stop it moving, and I got rid of the pencil mark so I knew where to rip. Just adding a bit of sellotape on the back there just to make that now a piece of 12 by 12 paper. So I'm using this paper from the smaller pad and I'm going to add it behind the photo. And that journaling card I'm going to use is from one of the cutouts. So I've cut that myself, just roughed up the edges there. You wouldn't be able to tell at all. And I'm going to just build up a little bit of the pumpkins from the bottom. I kind of know how I want this to look. Whether it will actually turn out like that is hard to tell, but I have an idea in my mind. Initially I wasn't sure about putting the pumpkins either side of the photos because there's plenty of pumpkins at the top, but actually I do stay with that because I'm going to add some foam behind a couple, I think, and also they're sitting on top of the torn paper lifts them anyway. And I just want to have some in between. There's going to be a little bit of a gap, and I also want to soften the paper in the background. You may have seen at the beginning I chose which bit of the foundation paper to keep. There are some vertical lines on this. It's not too obvious. There's one to the right of the photo. So basically I'm going to use some of the rub-ons. I really like their rub-ons. I've used them plenty of times before, so I'm taking some phrases here as well that I think I might use. I'm just having a look at the leaves as well, making sure there's more pumpkins as rub-ons, but I think I've got plenty as this is the first layout I've done with this collection. So I'm having a look there. So I've die cut some leaves. I'm still faffing with the title. I think it's because it says pumpkins and it's plural. I'll come back to that later on. I think about cutting it there. Did you see that? I actually do cut it. I'll come back to that. I've picked up some bits here that I think I might use. I'm just having a look, seeing where they're going to go. See, I quite like perfect pumpkin. So I'm just putting some foam on there and I get the scissors out and I decide that I am going to trim off the S and therefore I am going to use the words because he's my perfect pumpkin rather than having a plural. So just by taking my time and a decent pair of scissors, I cut the S off, and when you see the finished layout, you will never know I did that. So I think if something like that is putting you off, go for it. I'm going to dispose of the S, and there's no way I need to use it for anything else. So I'm really pleased with the way that looks. So I just die cut some leaves from the orange that's hidden, and I did it from the pattern paper that's also behind the photograph, the green with different leaves on as well, and a couple of pieces of cardstock, a brownish beige and a darker green as well. So I'm just going to see, I just want to soften the pumpkins a little bit and also spread. So I've now got like a vertical column, even though the layout started horizontal across the top, now it's moving down vertically. So I just want to fill that gap between the title and those pumpkins. And I'm going to just change the directions of those leaves a little bit. And I don't want to fill all the gaps. There's plenty enough going on in this layout, as you can tell. But there will be some restful areas, so I don't think it's going to be too much. Also, the photo is really quite vivid. My nephew's face is really quite pale in comparison, so I think it still draws you into the photograph. So I'm going to add the title on foam pads. I am going to add some journaling to that brown journaling card at the end. And I do it right at the very end. And I'm just looking at where to tuck some of these leaves in. I'm going to add a drop of wet glue on them when I come to it. And some of them I've got a bit of double-sided tape on as well. So I'm just going to poke them into a few places just to soften round all the die cuts. I am still thinking about using the rub-ons. It's like a script. It's a bit typewritery, and just really pale with some splatters. And I think it's just going to add to softening up the background a little. I'm going to aim to add them into a few places, either side of the title. I'm going to come out to the left as well eventually. Have trouble getting the top plastic off, but they are just, if I said as smooth as butter, I'm not exaggerating. The little tool that comes in the pack makes it easier, of course, but they just go down so well. So I'm just going to stick the leaves around this pumpkin there and see if there's any places that I need to fill or any more rub-ons that I want to add. But it's actually come together quite quickly. The fussy cutting off camera probably took the longest, but it was definitely worth it. Did it in front of the TV, so that was no biggie either. So that softness there by the right of the title with those leaves, I like that. So I'm going to tuck those in there. It does leave a little bit of a gap between the two pumpkins. And I'm going to actually add another rub-on, and it says, "For the love of fall." So I've got that just placed in position there. I'm messing about with two, but I do choose the orangier one, and I just apply that down. Just a bit tricky to lift the plastic off the top. And I do feel that I'm actually nearly done. There's a couple of other bits of rub-on that I just want to add as well just before I finish. And I'm just checking. I cut more leaves than I needed. I've also added a few word phrases as well. I've got "love this most" on the journaling tag. I'm adding "it's a good day" at the bottom. And the one on the right of the photo, it was actually just more like a phrase, and it says "more pumpkins, please." And that made me smile, so I thought that would actually work really well. Now, don't be put off about cutting into rub-ons. I'm actually making them bigger or smaller as I need them. They are just part of the background. They're just adding another layer. I'm going to tuck one in there on the right underneath the leaves just to soften up that darker piece of orange, which I wasn't that keen on at the beginning. But they're not a standout design. Some of their rub-ons are, but these are really much more background ones, so they work perfectly. Because there's a lot of orange, I've just got some watered down white acrylic paint there on the tray. I've covered my photo just so that I don't spatter my nephew in the face. And I'm just giving it a good old sprinkling all round. So I've added the journaling. That is the dimension that you can see. Really pleased with how that came out. If you like this, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, check out the supplies in the store. Here's the finished image and some close-ups too. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you here again real soon. Bye for now.